Patrol.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wednesday live stream of the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and I hope you're having a fantastic week. It is now Hump Day's Eve, so you've made it through the hard part, hopefully. Monday and Tuesday are behind you. Even Wednesday is behind you. Unless you're at work now, and that's just not my fault. I can't be held accountable for such things. But as it's Wednesday night, of course, I'd like to welcome my good friend and guest host, or co-host rather, Mr. Don Longbeard to the show.
Hey, how are you?
How's your microphone working?
I don't know. Is it not working?
Oh,
there we go. Haha, we should have done that sound check.
Actually, my minion was up here. I had him talking into the echo, so he thought that was really cool.
Right on.
We were doing that a little bit earlier, but welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope you've had a great week, though, and hope you're all set for a fun-filled evening on the portal. But I see people are climbing in already, so we're off to a phenomenal beginning, I think. Phenomenal. Why don't I see the count? Usually I see a count of people.
I see 5.
Really? I got nothing on my screen. Usually I can see how many's are in there, but I'm not seeing how many's. But
craziness. Well, we've got Taz and Renee and Lady Death and me and you.
All right.
So,
well, I don't know if it counts me because as I am the streaming host, so somebody else is lurking. But that's all right. Sorry we got a late start tonight, ladies and gentlemen. It's Don and I were testing and testing setups. So we're gonna try to unveil something new here in the studios in the coming weeks. We got a little more dialing in to do, but it's pretty cool. Should make it a little easier to look at me. Should help. I don't know. But it's just going to be some on-screen
distractions.
Well, yeah, maybe distractions. Maybe it'll be just more eye candy to tune in. I don't know, but hopefully you'll enjoy it. And I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag just yet. But it's kind of cool. It's pretty exciting. I always count. Oh, thanks, Taz. Thank you.
Hey, Ken. How are you, Ken? Nice to see you. We missed you last week, buddy.
Mr. Rotman, you are hereby acknowledged into the classroom. Have your seat, please. No. Welcome to the show, everybody. And as people are coming in, again, sorry we got a late start, but we were doing some testing and it pushed back our timetable quite a bit. But here we are. You didn't get rid of us.
Not that easy.
We are not quite so easy to get rid of. We're like a bad rash up in here. We just keep spreading.
You got cream for that?
They might have, but I hope none of them find it. I don't want to be cured. If this is sick, I don't want to be cured. Know what I'm saying? So
wow, yeah, we're just picking up people left and right. Pixie's here, Obake's here.
Mr. Obake.
Yes.
Welcome back,
nice.
Everybody. Wow, Pixie's here. Where's Pixie? Where's she been?
MIA.
MIA.
She's MIP.
I'll expect to see your hall pass, young lady.
She's MIP, missing in Portal.
Yeah, she was sucked down the tube. Sorry. I'm glad you made it back. Oh, Julie is here. Good deal. Thanks, guys. It's great to see you all coming in. And again, I'm sorry we got a late start, but here we are. The portal is humming, and we are into our journey into the otherworldly realms of the spiritual, paranormal, and just strange.
Starting with us.
We always start with the strange because that's us. We are here on camera, unscripted. This is live and unrehearsed, but it's always been live and unrehearsed. We never had any clue what the hell we're doing. But we're thrilled you guys keep coming in to see what we're up to. That's just awesome. And ladies here, Lady Death. Awesome. Did you say that before?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'm just seeing as these names are rolling up. Dawn's in here. Good evening, Dawn.
Oh, Dawn. Hi, Dawn.
Fantastic.
I've got to talk to Dawn.
Okay.
I've been neglecting her. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, just keep it real, brother. Gotta love all the portals. So, we are going to go through some paranormal journeys and encounters, but before that, I wanted to go over some paranormal news, and I just ran across this today.
Oh, nice.
And I think this will be kind of cool. It's got it's got some potential. And what it is basically, as you may or may not know, ladies and gentlemen, if you like the show Finding Bigfoot on the Discovery Channel or Animal Planet, whatever one it happens to be on, I'm not sure. I've seen it on even Destination America, so I don't know if it's just what the deal is, but I've always loved that show, and not because I think they're ever going to find Bigfoot, but they found sponsors, and so I got to respect that.
Maybe that's what we need to do.
We got to find sponsors. Ladies and gentlemen, anybody want to sponsor a paranormal show? Paranormal Portal Radio at gmail.com. That's all I got to say. But no, they've done a great thing in that they've talked a lot about behavior. They've talked a lot about, about introducing this phenomenon to a very broad audience. And they created the ability for people to have that dialogue without being ostracized, which I think is really important. And my hat's off to all the paranormal shows that are on TV. As hokey as they might be, at least they're creating the ability for people to have the discussion. Because before all these shows and all this inundation with all things paranormal discussions were, confined to whispered conversations in a corner or away from prying ears, because, people just felt so alienated by the paranormal if they were, unfortunate enough to have the experiences. And I say that, because most people don't feel fortunate to have paranormal experiences. They feel like there's something wrong and they're being targeted and things are really going to hell quick. And that's unfortunate. But these shows have created the ability for people to have the discussion, to openly talk about it, and to find out that most of the people they felt ashamed to discuss with it before were actually into it too, because now all these people are like, oh, I watched Finding Bigfoot. Yeah, I was watching that too. And, everybody's out in their yard going, oh, trying to call squatches in, which is absolutely, well, it's a bad idea anyway.
It's very frowned upon in the circles.
It is. It's a bad idea because, if there are some in your neighborhood, the last place you want them to be is knowing where you live and knowing that you're calling for them.
Yeah, no doubt. Come on in. We got barbecue.
You ever see Christmas Vacation and
God.
What's the cousin that's in the mobile home?
Remember.
Cousin Eddie. Bigfoot is like your cousin Eddie rolling in, and once he's there, he's not going to want to leave, or he's going to just cause all kinds of problems. So unless you want cousin Eddie hanging out, don't call him in. And again, when Bear was on the show, we talked about habituation and what a bad idea that is.
Yeah.
And you don't want them coming around looking for a meal.
Nope.
Because the time when you can't do it is when things will just blow up. Yeah, well, your stuff becomes their
play toys,
their tantrum room.
Oh,
yeah,
no doubt.
They've been known to kill entire herds of goats and stuff just because they're having tantrums and shredding barns. And yeah, I mean it's like 800 to 1,000 pounds of mad muscle. So. But anyway, getting back to my original point is, Finding Bigfoot is basically done. They're going to air the final episodes or the final season starting apparently in the end of May.
Oh.
And I had heard about that from, I think it was James Fay Bobo on the show. He did, some kind of interview somewhere that I had happened to catch, and he was talking about it. And I'm actually sorry to see that show go. And again, not because I ever thought they were going to find Bigfoot, but because it was neat to hear the counter stories and the people, in their town hall meetings get up and talk about what they experienced. And it was neat to, learn some of the things that they did discuss on there, which I thought were good. Like, you learn about tree breaks and, things like that, and some of the habits that people believe that they have. So, but what I found out today is that Matt Moneymaker is trying to do a new series, and he's basically pitching it right now to the cable stations, and basically it's called Native Giants. And he and two Native American women that are Native American police officers or whatever on their respective tribes' forces, he and them are going to be teaming up and going to different reservations around the country, discussing with the natives their legends pertaining to Bigfoot. But not only Bigfoot. The cool part is that they're also going to be including the little people, the Pukwudgies or whatever names that, myriad of names that are attributed to them in the Native American circles. And so it's not going to just be Bigfoot. it's going to be, the Bigfoot and the little people is going to be topics of discussion, which I think is really cool.
So cryptids in general.
Well, no, because they're not going to talk about Dogman, and they're not going to talk about
Native American cryptids.
the Rake.
Okay.
Well,
yeah.
and they're not going to talk about the Wendigo and, so many of the others that are, of course, out there. But it's going to be the Bigfoot and the little people. So, and there are several variations of the little people out there. The Cherokee had 2 that I'm familiar with. And, of course, there's the Pukwudgies, and I don't think that that's from the Cherokees. But it goes on and on. But essentially, the claims of these little people in Native American circles are just as common as the hairy men, the Bigfoot. So that should be cool. But anyway, it's called Native Giants. It's not finalized, but it is something that they're pitching, and they've been doing. So I hope that makes it. That's coming up, perhaps in the future. But exciting, and I hope it happens. So that's kind of the news. And I got that news from the Squatch News Digest. And that's at paper.li/Squatch News. And what was the date on this? It was from April 10th. So
yeah,
it was quite recent.
Yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. Yesterday. And so that's pretty cool. Something to look forward to. I hope that they're able to find a station to adopt the show, and it'll be interesting to see what they can do. Again, I don't ever expect they're going to see a Bigfoot or a little person, but it'll be neat to hear these encounters and these legends regarding these beings. So that could be coming up in the future, ladies and gentlemen, but I thought I'd bring it to you here on the portal. So I'm just your diligent host of ghosts.
There you go.
That's what I am, and all things paranormal. So, Don, how you been?
Been good. Been good. I got some rust this week. I feel good.
Yeah, good.
I got a few things done. I started a pool for my ducks the other day, and well, it was like 2 weeks ago already. Got it done today. They got in and they splashed around and made all kinds of noise.
Now, I did see something, speaking of ducks, and this just happened as a peripheral kind of thing, but I did find an article that was talking about eggs, and apparently chicken eggs are acidic, but duck eggs are alkaline.
Huh.
And apparently that alkaline nature of, I think that's right. Is that right?
Yeah.
Acidic or alkaline?
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's not, whatever chicken eggs are is not considered good, and whatever the duck eggs, I'm not sure which is which anymore, now that I'm thinking about it, because I just browsed at it as I was perusing today. But apparently duck eggs are very healthy, and they could be key to helping people fight cancer. So there you have it, Don.
There you go.
You're going to be a little bit healthier just from all your duck eggs.
Yeah, and I'm going to eat all of them, too.
No, you're not.
One of them
you're going to bring some of them over here is what
I can't tell the difference from the duck eggs and my chicken eggs. I can't tell the difference.
Well, duck eggs would be bigger.
Are you sure?
That's what they showed on the pictures.
Well, sometimes. I got some pretty big chickens.
Not with the coyotes around there.
Oh, that's true.
It's like your chickens are on this constant treadmill.
Well, I tell you, and I saw the look in that coyote's eye too. He was like, "Oh, win a chicken dinner, baby."
Yeah,
like go for it. Yeah.
So well, I would appreciate some duck eggs, and otherwise your microphone may have intermittent problems.
Oh.
I don't know. It could happen. There could be technical difficulties in the studio.
We'll just blame it on the ghost again.
Well, it's easy to do because he doesn't really defend himself very well. No, I shouldn't say that. I don't want to challenge him. He's
yeah.
I don't want to
bring
put that
up
out there
again, because last time you did that, something happened. Yeah, find that wood.
I'm knocking on the wood for sure. Yeah, I don't know. This is the only paranormal show in existence, ladies and gentlemen, that is actually haunted, and we have that verified.
Yep.
With our
psychic medium. Yep.
Deb Varner. So it is true. Not sure why. I guess, when you think about it, all the things we discuss and all the nature of what we discuss, the fact that it could have attracted something doesn't.
So not surprising.
No, not really. It's actually, if they say the power of the spoken word is so powerful, then it stands to reason. But tonight we're going to be going through these different stories, and I wanted to start out going through some stories from truckers. Some encounter stories from truckers, ladies and gentlemen. And I thought these were kind of cool. I'm actually researching a different show that I'm trying to put together. It's got a lot of information in it, but it's going to have to do with demons. And I know that sounds really wicked and dark, but the information I'm finding is it's not quite as nefarious and dark as you might think. So,
hold on. Can I address something real quick?
You may.
We have a new person in the chat, Forgotten Shadows. And I just wanted to address this real quick. First of all, this person asked if we interact with the chat room. Well, obviously we do. I'm watching it as we go by.
Hey, it's nice to see you, by the way.
And
welcome.
Just so you know, Aether Archives is me, this guy right here. My name's Don, by the way. And yes, they were asking, how to call in, or, if they felt like their story would be pertinent to the thing or the conversation. Well, here's the thing. You can email us at paranormalportalradio@gmail.com, or on Wednesdays our line is not available. So don't call the line shown on the screen there on Wednesdays. However, on Fridays and Saturdays between 10 and 12 p.m. Pacific Coast time, you can call in, and we love to have all kinds of stories. So please email or call in on Friday or Saturday, and share your stories. We'd love to hear them.
Absolutely. And the difference between tonight and Friday and Saturday is that this show is actually live on tfrlive.com. It's on iHeartRadio. It's on TalkStream. It's on TuneIn, as well as doing the simulcast on YouTube. So the number you're seeing on the screen is actually the studio call-in number. And it will work now, but not for us. It'll work for whoever's doing their show right now.
Whoever's live online right now, yeah.
So don't call tonight, because unless you want to know about gematria.
Yeah.
then give it a ring.
No, don't give it a ring. You want to listen to us, not Zach. That's why we're here.
So anyway, yeah, but thanks for clearing that up. Thanks for dropping that down. I kind of forgot that. So 80% of the response I caught. Basically, you can call in Friday, Saturdays. That's the studio line. Call in when we are broadcasting on iHeart, TalkStream, TuneIn, and TFR Live, as well as YouTube. Tonight and Wednesday nights is only a YouTube stream, so the call-in number will not work tonight. So there you have it. But welcome to the show. Arigato gozaimasu. Because he said senpai, so senpai saw me.
Oh.
So, all right. Anyway, so here we go. Going to get into these stories. If I can find them, there they are. Let's see. So we're going to get into some tales related by over-the-road truckers, and I thought these were kind of cool. Not all of them are spooky. The first one looks like it's pretty positive, so let's see what happens. If you don't mind to indulge me. Oh, geez, hold on. Sorry, I had a little gassy there. Burp, not otherwise. Don, you don't need the air freshener.
It's not the air freshener.
So
it's the smell of my chest through my shirt.
Okay. That's a bouquet for sure.
Well, I'm pretty used to it.
All right, in the late 80s. I'm sorry, this is light gray font on a white page. Ugh, I'd like to slap some of these people. How do you expect people to read it? So I'm blowing it up, ladies and gentlemen, and did something wrong. What did I just do? There we go. In the late 80s, Michigan, I had I-94 west of Detroit all torn up as they were completely replacing the roadbed. I was going to Detroit at about 2 a.m., driving in the construction zone, when I saw this heavy-set elderly lady in a raincoat standing behind her car. I think we've read this one before. I'll continue reading it anyway. What the hell? Behind her in her car, in the construction zone, waving her arms for me to stop. I had almost passed the elderly lady when I saw her and couldn't stop. So I turned around at the next exit and circled back and pulled up behind the broken-down car with my four-ways on. Two heads popped up from behind the seats, and a young lady came back to the truck. I told him to get everyone out of the car, and I would take them to the gas station where they could get some help. He got his wife from the car, and they got into my truck and shut the passenger door. I looked at them and said, "Is that everybody? Where's the elderly lady?" The couple looked puzzled and asked what I was talking about, so I told them the story of the elderly lady flagging me down and described her to the couple. Immediately, the woman burst into tears and said that she had heard that guardian angels looked like deceased relatives. She went on to explain that her grandmother had passed away earlier that year, and I had just described her grandmother to a T. The story still gives me goosebumps thinking about it all these years later. I can't wait to meet that elderly lady someday. I did something right that night for once in my life. For once in my life, wow. The next one is, it was about 3 a.m. and I was westbound on Jensen Road in Fresno, California. Just before the residential area, I had slowed to about 40 miles per hour when out of nowhere appeared this freakishly tall figure of a man in a black buttoned-up trench coat and a round black sombrero standing on the white line of the 2-lane road. He must have been at least 6'7" or 7 feet tall. My partner and I watched, and he didn't even flinch as the rig passed by. I swear the side mirrors must have missed his head by only a couple of inches. My partner and I looked at each other with our eyes wide open and screamed, "Did you see that? What was that?" I swear our skin crawled and we were both in kind of shock. I couldn't help thinking about it for a couple of days. And yeah, it could be just somebody there. Why somebody really tall and wearing a sombrero would be standing on a highway, I don't know. And if it's an apparition, I don't know why an apparition would appear there unless it was trying to shock people into some kind of accident, I suppose. Sometimes they say the deceased can be full of anger and hate and jealous of the living. So, they say misery loves company. Last week, I just left Gallup, New Mexico, and was driving west on I-40 near Holbrook, Arizona, when I heard a knock, knock, knock 2 times on the side of my sleeper. It was very loud and distinct, like 1, 2, 3, and then it repeated once more shortly after that. I had the radio off and was alone in the rig. Honestly, I thought keep driving was the best thing to do. When I got to Holbrook, I stopped for a break, but was too freaked to get out and go look. The next day, I walked around the cabin and was looking at the catwalk. There's no way a human could have been hiding back there at 3 a.m. in 10-degree freezing winter weather, going 70 miles per hour without anyone noticing. I logged this one as unexplained.
I would too.
Yeah, that's strange. That's got to be a horrible feeling. So you're alone on the road. I assume he was going down the road, but he heard the knocking on the sleeper, right?
Right, yeah, and I thought he said something at the end there about him driving down the
70
road.
70 miles an hour.
Yeah, so something knocking on your sleeper when you're doing 70 miles an hour down the way.
That's one of those things that I don't think you should stop. I think if that's happening, something's all kinds of wrong, and just keep going. Turn up the radio.
Yeah, exactly.
just like I do when I have car troubles. It's like, what's that noise? Turn up the radio. What noise? That's not the engine noise. I can't hear it. No, I was just telling Don that I got this. My car's acting up, and I was leaving Walmart the other day and was driving down the road, and I looked down and I was going 0. So my speedometer is just cooked all of a sudden. So I have no idea what the hell's going on. It's an older car though, so I guess you get what you get, ladies and gentlemen. But cars are, you either love them or you hate them. If they're running great, or most of the time I just don't think about it. It's just like the car. I try to take care of my stuff. I mean, I try to do as good a job as I can, but I'm not one of those car lovers where I, rub it with a diaper and, and wax it up and stuff. I'll go through the car wash, a few times, I don't know, a few times a summer usually, unless it's really dirty for some reason. But generally, I try to change the fluids on time, but some reason all of a sudden my speedometer just says 0. It's like, oh, damn it.
Yeah.
And it's the kind of car that I have, Don, as we were discussing. It's like whenever anything goes wrong, it's really expensive.
I've pretty much figured out that if anything goes wrong with your car, it's either $200, $500, or $1,000 per issue.
I mean, you know what? Even like when things have gone wrong and I brought it in, like to get some light come on,
right?
It costs over $100 just to bring it in and have the computer look at it. It's like, really? I need to get one of those pocket things you just plug in.
Yeah, they're called fixed.
Fixed, F-I-X-D, yeah, that's what I need.
I think you can buy one on Wish if you want.
I wish I had one. I suppose I could, but excuse me, it'd be cheaper than bringing it to the service guy.
Yeah.
It's $110 every time.
Yeah, just to run a diode. You could probably actually just take it to one of the car parts places like Napa.
Oh, okay.
And they have one you can use.
Oh, I gotcha.
And then bring it back in. So.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I might do that. That's a cheaper option yet. A child's cries. I was driving at night when I heard an odd grinding noise, like I had run over something that got stuck. It was about 2 a.m., so I pulled into a well-lit rest stop and woke up my buddy. I explained to him, and as we got out of the car, we heard what sounded like a kid crying. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's horrible. Mm-hmm. There were no other cars at the rest stop, but we frequently heard stories about child trafficking and kidnapping, so we decided to check it out. We grabbed our flashlights and headed towards the noise, which was coming from the bathrooms. As we got closer, we realized it was coming from the women's bathroom. It was a low, dull sobbing. We prepared for the worst and walked in expecting to see a brutally beaten or brutalized 8-year-old or something, but there was nobody inside. The sound was still there. It was still clearly coming from the room, but the room was empty. We turned on the lights, but still found nothing. We checked each stall, the trash can, nothing. We even started looking for where in the room it was coming from. Nothing. We wondered, is it a hidden speaker? Are we on candid camera? What the heck? My buddy climbed up on one of the stalls to get to the top window of the rest stop, which was vented out and open. He closed it, and the noise stopped. Completely. He opened it, and there was no more noise. We sat there for a few seconds, staring at each other. He shrugged. Then the window slammed shut again without him touching it. We were out of that bathroom in seconds. The noise started up about 10 seconds later, and we tore out of that parking lot. The grinding noise was still there, so this time I pulled over a few miles later at a Flying J truck stop, one that was well lit and occupied. We checked and saw a red and silver piece of metal wedged underneath. We couldn't remove it by hand, as it was really wedged in there, so we kicked at the metal to bend it and figured we'd remove it when we get back. A week later, I had my mechanic take it out when he was doing a service. It was part of a child's tricycle. Oh. The red area where somebody can stand. That was one of those moments for me, totally screwed up and crazy. That's horrible. I mean, there's not much worse than hearing a child cry.
Yeah.
It's such a tormenting sound.
Obake was talking about demons the other day and things like that, and the children got brought up, child apparitions and things like that. And I reminded him that you and I don't necessarily believe that there are such things as child ghosts, that they're more demons or something in disguise. So when you said that, it's like, okay, it's heart crushing, first of all, about a child in torment like that, and then of course, you brought up the memory of talking to Obake the other day about this. So it's definitely one of those things you got to watch out for. But the trike portion, that kind of sucks.
It does. Yeah, it does. And I don't mean to claim that there can't be child ghosts. It's just that it seems to me that they would be, if they are indeed left behind for whatever reason, like whatever universal good there is didn't collect them or didn't bring them home. I mean, I can't think of a more tragic thing than this pure little innocent spirit, being left. I do believe there's something great and good in the universe, and that something as pure and
they wouldn't leave that
beautiful
behind.
A spirit as a child, that it wouldn't just leave it there like, see you at the rapture, take care. You know what I mean? It's just that idea that quit bothering me, kid, I'm busy. I mean, I can't believe that would happen. But if and again, Deb has told me that I'm wrong, and I respect that I certainly could be. But I can't tell you how many times I've researched this, and every story that starts out with, we had a child spirit in our house and we got a treat, and we gave it a little room and left some toys, and the next thing people are getting scratched. Somebody's got an oppression or attempted possession, and it turns out it's not a child at all.
Right.
I mean, at least 9 times out of 10, it's something dark. But there is that that possibility that there could be. And that just breaks my heart. I mean, that just totally wrecks me inside to think these little angels would be stuck wandering.
Obake chatted here. He says, exactly, I dealt with a child ghost, and it turned out to be a building filled with intense demons.
Ooh.
That's a story we're going to have to hear. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Forgotten Shadow says, the way I see it, energy doesn't have age. Energy is infinite.
That's a good point.
A young human or not, if it became a spirit, there's no age. So, but then once again, well, that might be true, and the lingering memory of the connection to life may be the decision to appear as a child.
And that's a good point. However, even in cases where children are born with recollection of their previous life, they're not suddenly an adult, even though they're attached to that adult spirit or that adult memory, and they have it inside of them. They're still children. They still have this beautiful innocence about them. So, if we are indeed reincarnated and reformed into this, child body and left to experience life again, we usually do it with a clear slate, so we have no memory of this other. But I agree. I think that our spiritual selves are much, much, much more profound than we understand, and it's a universal force. But they're still children. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I agree with what he's saying, and I totally see that point, and I concede that. But I don't know. Just me. It's it's like anything with the paranormal. All we have is a bunch of ideas and a bunch of thoughts about what it could be, ponderings, musings. I don't know. But every thought is just as valid as the next one, and that's a great point.
Yeah.
So anyway, did you have anything you wanted to read, Don?
No, not at this time.
Okay. All right. So why don't I read some more? Now, this is a long one that I'd pulled up for another show, but it was so long I never got to it. I guess it's not as long as I thought, but let me read it now. Let me skip past this. Let's see. Experiences that are very unusual, to say the least. Growing up in the family home was always quite volatile, and this may have contributed to the spooky goings-on or somewhat. We moved there when I was a year old in 1975, and my mom lived there until 2009. It was my childhood home, and I remember it not always being a happy place. I spent a lot of time in my room, which was the only part I could get peace from, and the hustle and aggravation that went on from day to day in the family. I don't remember how long after the first meeting with the other world did I have my second encounter. Apparently this person wrote another encounter before this, but I didn't see that. Still a child and very scared, I was only about 8 when I laid in bed one evening reading. And as I did quite often by this age, I looked up to see a partial formation of a full-bodied apparition appearing about 10 feet away from me. It took me about 30 seconds to focus and see what was materializing in front of me. Fear gripped me intensely, my throat tightened, my tongue went dry, so much I couldn't make a sound. My body froze, and it took me to an age for legs to engage with my brain. It took me an age, that's a funny way to put it, and managed to move them. What I did see before I bolted for the door was a young girl in old clothes, maybe Victorian era, standing in front of me, white outline with visible features. A very pretty girl, not very old, maybe late teens. She never made a move and stood stock still, just looking. I didn't wait around for her to come towards me. I ran out into the landing and down the stairs. I did not hang about. My mom did not believe me, and my dad just laughed. Nice. That's so brutal. I was petrified, quite rightly, but upon investigation, she had vanished. As is the case with many sightings, I knew what I had seen, though, and it has never left me. In years after that, for some reason, we came to the conclusion that the presence that had invaded our lives was attached to the wardrobe, which we were given a few years before. The incidents of paranormal events became more frequent after this wardrobe came into our house. Maybe some place in memory, transference, whatever it was, had come to us with this wardrobe. Other incidents that occurred after the wardrobe came to us came thick and fast. At one point in time, maybe 1 or 2 incidents a week. And it wasn't just me. It was my whole family who experienced it. My mom, my brothers, not sure about my dad because I don't think he would have admitted it, even if he had experienced it. He is not the man to admit that sort of thing. A lot of events, such as seeing shadows moving around rooms, even from outside the house, electrical equipment turning itself on and off at times of the day and night, pictures on the wall would swing and hang at funny angles, items like keys would disappear from one place for days on end and then reappear somewhere else. A friend of my mom's swears even to this day that she saw a German Shepherd in the bedroom window, standing on its hind legs with its front paws on the windowsill. As children, we had dogs but never owned a German Shepherd. A lot of the time we would feel like we were never alone, even when we quite obviously were. The spine-tingling hair on the back of the neck stands up, creeping sensation that sometimes would be standing at the back of me when I turned around. But of course, there never was anyone there. The one other incident that stands out in my memory and has never been explained away by anyone in the family. At the top of our stairs, just off the landing, is the bathroom. It can be seen from the bottom of the stairs quite clearly. There used to be a rug outside the bathroom door which stretched from the top of the stairs to the bathroom door to the largest bedroom door. My mom had painted the bathroom one day, but had left painting the woodwork and door jamb until we were all in bed to avoid obvious accidents, such as being touched or stepped on. She did the door jamb last of all, washed the brush, and went to bed quite late on. In the morning, before any of us had risen from bed, I heard my mom talking to my older brother in the next room, asking him if he had been to the bathroom during the night. Then she came to me and asked me the same question. I asked why, and she said that one of us must have been out of bed because on the rug on the landing was a humongous toe print in the paint that came all the way from the wet paint out to the landing, across the landing, fading towards the large bedroom door. I assured her I hadn't been out of bed all night. She said she assumed it wasn't me, as my toes really were too small. I looked at this print and measured it against my own, and it was massive. Even my older brother's toes were not this big. My dad's toes were smaller than my brother's, so that ruled him out already. It puzzled us for a long time, really perplexed us as to how someone's big toe print, just the big toe, could manage to be stained with paint and none of the others, and how come this toe was so massive it ruled anybody out in the family out. We never spoke of it in great depth after it happened, but years later, me and Mom had a conversation about it, and we must have thought the same thing at the time it happened, but never said anything to each other. We both had thought that it was the paranormal, but kept it to ourselves. I convinced myself that it was one of my brothers messing about like they do, but even to this day, they deny all knowledge of it. I think it is really scary to think that we may have been sharing space with something from the unknown. It had to be the strangest thing that happened in terms of weird stuff. Other things that happened seemed to be paranormal and were filed as such, but this was just freaky, weird, and could not be explained in any way. I think that's why we never discussed it, because it was just such a random, out there event. So that's a really cool series of things. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if your house isn't haunted and suddenly one day you notice it is haunted, pay attention to what you may or may not have brought into your house. Such a big thing for a lot of people is antiquing or thrift stores or whatever, and finding odds and ends. Is your microphone working?
Yes, it should be fine. No, it's not.
It's not.
There it is again.
Done.
Gosh. Here we go. You just had to do that, didn't you?
I guess. How's
that? No.
We have our response.
I need to unplug. So mute me.
Okay, I'm muting you. You're muted.
I'm muted.
But in hearing that story, clearly you've got to be careful with what you bring in your house, and it would probably be good to sage things, do a little ceremony with sage before you bring them into your house.
Throw salt on them.
Well, there's ways to cleanse, or just say prayers over them, or whatever your thing is. But whenever you're bringing something into your house, you're bringing the imprint of wherever it was too. Now, I have you muted still.
How am I doing? Nope, I'm still.
You're still. There you go. Yeah, they're back.
Yeah, Taz says she thinks she did that. She brought something home with her.
Oh, really? Yeah, I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, there's so many stories of people buying things and suddenly things are going haywire and they're not quite sure why. So as you introduce things to your house, try to leave things in the garage and bring them in one by one. And if suddenly you notice things are going, and then bring something, if you notice you brought in something and then things start to get weird, take it out of your house and test it again. And if you're noticing that this is the deal, you can certainly, things can be cleansed. And the imprint may be incredibly stubborn, but any kind of energy can be cleansed. It's just going to be a matter of how much help are you going to need doing it.
How many times do you have to do?
Well, I mean, repeated sages and blessings, and anointing with oils, holy sigils on them with anointing oils would be good. There's so many different practices, and it's up to you, whatever resonates with you.
Right.
And as I've said many times, it doesn't matter the system you believe in, just believe in what you're doing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So if you're not Christian, don't try to do a Christian prayer and expect amazing results, because it's not resonating with your faith.
And it really doesn't matter what your faith is, whether you're, as you just said, clarification, whether you're Wiccan, pagan, Christian, Catholic, whatever.
Right.
So you just need to believe that what you're doing is going to work.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
You just have to have faith in it. I mean, if, like I've said before, if you believe that this cheese that you're holding is the most holy object in all of creation, it will be.
I had somebody say, he was an atheist, he said, my higher powers ahead of cabbage, and it tasted good.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah. If that person believed that cabbage was imbued with amazing ability and power.
Miracles.
I mean, these objects and symbols are a reflection. There is the ability to imbue items with a charge, with an energy. But it's only so powerful on its own. However, if you take that same object that's been charged and believe with all of your faith that it is powerful, that at the very least magnifies by many, many fold. But if you don't believe in it, doesn't matter how much it was charged, because you are negating the energy that was given to it. So in other words, if I took, let's say if I took what could I say? What would it be? If I took a rosary. No, I'm not Catholic. Not that there's anything wrong with Catholic. It's just I'm just speaking to experience. This rosary could have been the most precious item for somebody, and it was the symbol of their faith, and they believed it was touched by God. Mm-hmm. And if I held it, I may have a respect for the energy, but it's never going to be that powerful for me because it's not my faith. I am not allowing it to come through or blocking it, or I am not magnifying it with my own faith. So if somebody, if I gave that same rosary to somebody who was Catholic and they were very strong in their faith, then it would become an incredibly powerful piece or symbol to their faith. So I hope that makes sense. I don't know if I'm being coherent.
No, it makes makes sense.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are divine by nature in my belief. And this is my own belief. You don't have to believe it or not. I mean, but if, in any religion, there's the talk of a creation. And so for the Creator to create, we have been created by something divine. And by virtue of that, we are ourselves divine because we were given life from a divine force. And that life force is part of that divine. So we have immense power and immense possibility and immense potential because we have that same energy within us as created us. There was an old teacher, and I can't remember what the details of the story were anymore, but essentially the lesson was it was a sage or some holy man or monk or something took his followers out, and one of his students said, "Master, how can you say that we are as powerful as the Creator, that we are as powerful, or we have the power of the universe within us. And they were sitting by the ocean, and the master dipped his finger in the ocean and pulled out his finger. And on the tip of his finger dangled a drop. And he said, "Do you see this drop on my fingertip?" And the students were, "Yeah, we see it." And he said, "It contains all of the qualities of the ocean, just not the quantity."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
and I think that's a very, very powerful statement. So, again, just my 2 cents. But it's my show, damn it.
Well, people are agreeing with you in the chat room.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad, and I certainly don't want to alienate anybody. It's not my desire on the portal to push people away because of a belief or lack of a belief. It's up to you what you want to believe.
Right.
And I just think that whatever it is, just believe it with all your heart.
I believe I'll have another piece of meat on the grill, please.
Carnivore.
I just found a rack of ribs in my freezer today.
Did ya?
Mm-hmm.
I expect some grilling going on pretty soon.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent. So that was that story, and I think it was pretty cool. But definitely, ladies and gentlemen, take time when you're introducing things to your house. Perhaps make it just a practice to, whatever you're going to bring into your house, do a blessing over it. Whatever your faith is, do that. Pray over it, sage it, surround it with crystals, whatever you want to do.
Right.
But definitely do your best to cleanse it before you bring it into your house. But if you do bring it into your house and you notice things going to hell, take it out of your house and see if it gets better. If it gets better, then you need to find a new home or really get somebody that knows what they're doing to clean it.
Well, you mentioned rosary. Now, I think it was Taz that said in the chat room that she found a cross from her mother that she was given from her mother years ago. Mm-hmm. And then when she had gone through the house 3 times, and then when she found this cross, everything got better. Oh. Now, that's a very personal thing from a mother to a child, I'm sure. And so it has a lot of meaning. But you brought up the rosary. And mm-hmm. So with that thought, the rosary not really meaning much in religion-wise to you, if it's connected to you, say like through a family member that was given to you from, and there's a good connection there, all you have to do, if I'm following your thought process here, is to believe, say, that was given to you by that person with good intent, and that it's powerful for you because you believe that person. You know what I mean?
Well, I would say that you're right. I mean, basically, when it was a holy symbol to someone you know and love,
right.
It remains a holy symbol to you because through that love,
right,
you may share that resonance,
right.
Or it may still be powerful to you because you know it was powerful to them. And so, by proxy, maybe not through your own active faith, but
right.
by having the faith and the love that you shared with this person, right. Perhaps it's just as powerful.
That's where I was going with that. Yeah. Thank you.
No, thank you. That's great insight, and you're absolutely right. You're on the right track, in my opinion. Not that I'm always absolutely right, but I try. I try to be right. So, but that was interesting. All right, I can get rid of that one because I read it. I just got to see what else I have pulled up here.
Yeah, I got one.
Oh, go ahead.
It's called The Asian Restaurant.
By all means.
I had just returned home from a long day at work. I was recovering from bronchitis, and I didn't feel like cooking or doing dishes. Sounds like me. I talked my husband into going out for Asian food, something we rarely do because he's not fond of this type of cuisine. We entered the restaurant, and I brought my thermal mug of water with me in case I had a coughing spell. It is mainly a takeout place, but there are 4 tables for people who want to eat in. Let's eat here, I said to my husband. If we do that, there will be no mess to clean up. While we waited, my husband amused himself by reading the Chinese horoscope on his placemat. While we were sitting there, quite a few people came in and went ordering and picking up their food and taking it out. It seems like we waited for an eternity. Is our food ever going to be ready? I thought in my head. As I thought this, running through my melon, a mother and her teenage son entered the restaurant. They were both dressed in black and had dark hair. The mother approached the counter and proceeded to place her order. The young man started to approach my table. I thought it was odd. It was like he was walking right to me. I looked up, and he had a look of utter surprise that I was there. I could also sense he was angry. I felt him think, "What are you doing here? Why don't you leave? This is my territory." I'm not a psychic, and I don't read minds, so this is an unfamiliar experience. Then I noticed his eyes were all black, devoid of any light. I sensed pure evil. Ooh. A voice in my head said, "Don't look into his eyes." I started to sweat. I wanted to leave. My throat felt as if it was going to close up. He turned and sat down. Our food was ready. I picked it up. I picked at it. "What's wrong?" my husband said. Let's take our food home," I said. I grabbed 2 takeout boxes off the counter and began putting my food in one of the containers. "I thought you didn't want to," I heard my husband saying in the background. I wasn't listening. I wanted to get out of there. I felt panicked. As I was leaving, I looked his way. He had struck up a conversation with a waiting customer. I just had to peek at his eyes. They were normal now. He smiled at me and curled up the side of his lip. "I know what you are," I said to him in my head. "I rebuke you. Stay away from me and mine." My husband and I left and went home. Since this odd experience, I have since found other people have had similar experiences, and I don't want to have another one as long as I live. So interesting. Wow. So is she implying that there was a demon?
Sounds like
Asian restaurant? Well, we are talking about Asian restaurants. There's a demon that goes home with you too. It's in the form of a bellyache.
Yeah, they can be pretty harsh. They can be. I know that's one of the times I got food poisoning was
just recently.
No, that was big. That was Burger King.
That. Oh, you mean before that?
This is a long time before that. This is years and years and years ago. I was used to go to this Chinese buffet, and I loved it. I ate there many times, no problem. But the last time I ate there, I used to love sweet and sour pork. To this day, I can't eat it anymore, but I ate it. And this one bite just tasted weird, and it was really fatty and, I don't know, just gross. So I spit it out, but I must not have spit it all out. Because, man, I was just heaving for the whole evening after that. It was horrible. So, to this day, ladies and gentlemen, I can't really eat sweet and sour pork.
That's unfortunate.
I used to love it.
Yeah.
But I guess I had my fill.
Yeah, that must have been it, yep. Brent is done with that. Sorry, I hit the mic.
That's all right. Yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things. Then again, my aunt used to make this casserole, potato casserole with sour cream, and I used to love it as cheesy and stuff. But then I got sick on that one time, and same deal. So I guess I've had food poisoning about 3 times now, and each time was a fresh slice of hell. Each time it was horrible. Ugh. But if I got it now, I know that somebody can step in for me. That would be you, Don.
Yeah.
Although it's a little harder to drive the ship now that we're streaming.
Yeah.
Than it used to be, but I think you could do it.
I just have to ignore everybody in the chat room like I am now.
Well, like I unfortunately, I'd love to be able to pay attention to what's going on in there, but I just never can because, it's easier when, of course, guests are on,
right,
right. Or when you're reading stories, then I usually take a look and see what's been going on. But
I'm not talking to those people anymore. They've talked
Forgotten
about nothing.
Forgotten Shadows. Is he trying to email?
He said that they sent in an email.
But read his last statement.
Yeah, they asked if we got it.
Whoa.
Paranormal Portal Radio at gmail.com.
No, he said address not found. Odd. I copied and pasted it from here. Make sure the radio is in there too. Forgotten. So it's Paranormal Portal Radio at gmail.com. But I don't see it here in the inbox. Wait, no, I got it. It's here. Did he want us to read this tonight?
I told him we'd do it on Friday and Saturday like we normally do.
Yeah.
So, hey, just a question. Forgotten Shadows, male or female, how would you like to be? What are your pronouns? That way we can make sure, because you were calling, who was it the other day?
Rio?
No.
Oh, somebody I misidentified the gender.
Yeah.
No, that was the guy that wrote in.
Yeah. I can't remember his name now. Sorry.
Uriah.
That's right.
Uriah.
That's right. It was Uriah.
Yeah, that was a little embarrassing. But it happens. I don't know. Isn't it a good world where we can be either? All right. Let me get to this. Is a quick one. It's my grandmother told me this story of when my grandfather, rather, when he was a boy, working in the fields in his farm. He had neighbors, and one of Jesus, I gotta zoom this in too. This is horrible. All right. My grandfather told me the story when he was a boy working in the fields on his farm. He had neighbors, and one, to be exact, was named Meredith. She was always nice to my grandfather, but he didn't really have a strong bond with her. Anyways, one day he was working in the cornfield, and he saw Meredith standing in front of him. He called out to her saying, "Hey, Meredith, how are you?" She ignored my grandfather's question and just said, "Somebody's dying," and then looked back towards her house. He thought it was strange, so he went to go and get his father, but when they came back, she was gone. He later learned that 3 days later, she passed away. In my family, we have a belief that if you see a spirit that you recognize and they are still living, that means that they either have 3 minutes, 3 days, or 3 months to live. He still believes that she warned him about her passing away, even if only he knew that she was talking about herself. Yeah, that's I don't know where that threes come from, though. I mean, threes are, I guess, considered a sacred number and all, being, the number of Trinity and such, but that's quite a discrepancy between 3 minutes and 3 months,
Yeah, that's, how long is this going to drag out, Like, gosh, it's like, it's like seeing harpies or banshees.
Yeah, the banshee scream, right?
When am I going to die?
You don't know when, but if you hear the banshee scream.
Oh, no.
I know some of you may not believe me, but I swear this really happened. There is a beach in Lake Forest that's P. What the hell?
Interesting.
This story's like chopped off.
Yep.
I can't even, let me see if I can copy it to a document, if that'll help. Oh, look at that.
Oh,
look at that.
There you go. Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to copy this over to a Word program. Let's do this WordPad. Oh, my goodness. It's not scrolling at all. It's just one big chain. All right, so it just became a longer story. Quite a bit longer. I don't know, but some of you may believe me, but I swear this really happened. There's a beach in Lake Forest that's part of Lake Michigan that my friends and I went to a year ago. I've been too scared to share my story until now, but I think I'm in the clear now. We went to the beach, me, Jake, Sam, and Emma, names have been changed, at night, and it was pitch black. The lighting there was really bad, but I guess beaches are only meant for the day, so it makes sense that there wouldn't be many street lights. We were stumbling around in the sand, dashing in and out of the frigid water, when all of a sudden Sam whipped his head around and said, "What's that?" Nobody else heard anything, so we all looked at each other, puzzled. Jake told him to stop messing around with us and quit looking off into the darkness. Emma added that he was being super creepy, because he was. I had never seen anybody so captivated by a sound. "What did you hear?" I said. "A whistle," Sam said. "Like a plastic one?" "No, like a human whistling." I was a little freaked out, but his reaction to it. But Jake kicked water at him and was suddenly broken from his trance as he ran out to tackle Jake. We all shook off the incident and continued our night at the beach. Emma and I stood off to the side, avoiding guys who were still kicking water and sand at each other. We were discussing our homework from class when all of a sudden Emma looked over her shoulder at the darkness behind us. "Do you hear that?" she said. "Hear what?" I said. "That whistling noise," she said. "Stop messing around. It wasn't even funny when Sam did it." "No, I'm serious. I hear a man, I think, whistling a song I don't recognize." Emma said, eyes open wide. Her pupils were 5 times the normal size, staring into the dark tree line behind us. At Lake Forest Beach, there is a wooden walkway that zigzags down to the sand and water and is surrounded by trees. "Don't you hear it too?" she said. No, I had started to shake, and I looked over at the guys for support, but I saw Sam staring again at the tree line, and this time Jake was staring too. The three of them stood frozen, unable to tear their eyes away from the sound of the whistling. What song is that? Jake said. I don't know, Sam said. All I know is that he wants us to hear it, Emma said, and the others nodded in agreement. What are you guys talking about? Who is he? This is not funny. If you're kidding, I hate you guys, I said. They didn't bother to answer. There was a flash of a shadow at the tree line. A tall, dark figure, not quite the shape of a man, was facing us. Emma, Sam, and Jake all started moving towards the figure. Guys, stop. What are you doing? I couldn't even finish my sentence as they all took off sprinting towards the figure. Emma got to it first, and she disappeared into the darkness, and I heard her brittle, sharp scream, and then silence. I wanted to stop the other two, I swear I did, but I couldn't move my feet. I was shaking too hard. Instead, I sunk into the sand as I heard Sam and Jake scream and cry out. I wrapped myself into a ball and cried and shook and covered my ears so I wouldn't hear the whistling, and it never came to me. I didn't leave the beach until the next morning when some runners found me, shaking, still curled up in a ball on the sand. Emma, Sam, and Jake were found wandering the beach the next day with no memory of what had happened. That's very strange. I don't know. It's probably somebody's fabrication. I don't know. I don't know of what would do that. Sorry, my cat. I got this cat that's just shedding. And
yeah, we know your cat. Oh, my mic's out again.
No, it's kind of out. Keep messing with it because it just crackled.
Yeah, that's what I need to do. I don't know what's going on with this.
I can hear you now.
How's that? Nope.
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 Oh.
It must be this mic going out. Can you mute me?
I can. Hold on. I got screwed up.
That's happening.
There,
okay.
Now you're live.
All right. What the heck?
I don't know. Don't know, ladies and gentlemen.
Huh.
It's the weirdness of the portal. Never a dull moment here in the portal. Yeah, that sucks the way that... I don't know what to think of that story, but it's one of those that... Yeah, I don't know. I can't correlate it with anything else. I mean? Like, usually phenomenon seems to follow a trend or a pattern of some course. But now I have heard people claim that they've heard, like they'd be out camping and heard this, I don't know, this irresistible sound of a babbling brook, and they just were drawn to it.
Yeah.
And then when they got up to go walk to it, they decided they would wait. And once they decided to wait, then the feeling turned from this desire to absolute terror.
Right.
So they went back to their tent, and the next day they went back to where they were sitting in the darkness, hearing this brook, and they looked around and there was no water for miles. So I don't know if there's, I guess it stands to reason there could be some things that prey on us that may not fall into the traditional categories, that there's just some other type of being, maybe a multidimensional type of being that, we know that, or we believe we know that there are several types of spiritual entities that feed off of the living, that they draw from, whether it's the life force, the energy of our existence, or whatever it is. I don't know, but they seem to be drawn and need that to subsist. So is there other things that may have developed some other predation to draw people in the terms of, maybe idealistic sounds, or that would be very attractive? I don't know. It's like a Pied Piper kind of thing, though. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know how to quantify that at all, ladies and gentlemen, but it's a strange story. Again, I can't say for sure what is real and what isn't, but I would probably lean towards that one not being legitimate.
Yeah.
When I was 15, I was in my sister's room. We invited our two friends over to play with the Ouija board for fun. Sounds like fun to me, Don, huh?
Yep, it sounds like a gay old time.
Nothing.
Is it a Ouija board? Staying alive.
Nothing spells fun like Ouija.
Ouija. Yes,
Ouija board. Yeah. I don't know. I know there usually a lot of people have problems with Ouija boards, but here we go. So they decided to have fun with the Ouija board. We had used it several times before, and nothing unusual happened up to that night, other than all of us accusing the other of moving the damn planchette. We set up a card table and began by asking if there were any spirits about, and if so, would they please make contact. Soon my sister's antique desk began to squeak. This desk was about 6 feet from the nearest person. I asked Sis if she was moving her chair, making the floor move beneath her chair, which would affect the desk, and she said no. Then the squeaking got faster and faster and faster. It freaked us all out, and we broke the circle and ran out of the room. We never touched the Ouija board again. True story, and I am now 64 and have dozens of experiences with psychic phenomena of various kinds. The most common thing I can tell you is when a spirit got near me, I get a strange sense of vertigo and sometimes goosebumps. I would just like to say, as my caveat on Ouija boards, that if you're going to open the portal, you got to close it. So
we try to every time.
Well, yeah.
But not with Ouija boards, just the portal in general.
Well, and Ouija boards are a form of portal. They're a form of connection to a spiritual realm. And so, getting freaked out and running away is a bad thing.
Yeah.
That is a very bad thing, because once you run away, it doesn't change anything. The connection can still exist within the board, within that oracle, to draw energy. And just because you've decided you can't deal with it doesn't mean that just means the thing doesn't work. It's not a circuit. It's something that you open, and you act as a blind channel using it. But if you get freaked out and leave, it doesn't mean that you've closed contact with the other side. You need to make sure to learn how to close sessions. And again, it can be done depending on what your faith is, whatever you believe. But don't just run away from a Ouija board and expect that the game's over, because it's just starting.
Why do they call it a game?
Well,
it's not a game.
Because it's meant for ages 8 and up. Go on, kids, go and summon Grandma and see what she thinks about your behavior.
Yeah, Y'all better straighten up, Zuzu.
Zozo.
Zozo says, straighten up or else I'm coming. Oh, wait, I'm doing it anyhow.
Exactly.
Here come the figure eights.
Yeah, that's if you're not familiar with what we're talking about, it's the Zozo phenomenon on the Ouija board. Essentially, it's this trickster demon that's causes a lot of problems with Ouija participants, and it was, I don't know, I mean, it's one of those things. I haven't heard a lot of it lately, but there was a period of time where a lot of people were claiming to have encounters with Zozo, and some of the symptoms of the Zozo phenomenon is the Ouija board doing a very rapid figure 8 or infinity symbol, and then spelling out Z-O-Z-O-Z-O or X-O-X-O-X-O. Usually it's Z-O-Z-O, but it can be X-O. And usually somebody ends up at least temporarily possessed or dealing with something for a period of time. So
hey, I also heard that it may start doing the alphabet backwards, and if it gets to A, it opens a portal.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing for counting backwards, but I would say that if you've made a connection, you have an obligation to shut it down. So don't wait for spellings or countings to happen.
Yeah, no doubt.
Just shut it down.
Goodbye.
Just done. Things like the Lord's Prayer, if you're a Christian, could be used, or again, smudging candles, crystals, oils, herbs are all things that can help you close portals. But definitely learn them. If you're going to play with them, just learn them. So that's the Ouija board backfire. 64 years old and still open. There's some basement somewhere with an old Ouija board still channeling spirits, ladies and gentlemen.
I wonder if that's Chris's house.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, strangeness. Strangeness, I'll tell you. All right. So let's see what this one is. I'm just cracking them open as we go here, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, jeez.
What?
The chat room.
What's going on there?
Well, they're talking about Ouija boards, but Vamp Lugosi says, don't mess with those damn boards. They're going to unleash those beans. God.
Beings.
That's what I said.
I'm going to train Don to use 2 syllables on that word if it kills me.
I'm going to get him some hearing aids.
No, it wasn't just me, brother.
Nobody even noticed it until you started laughing about it.
I was just stumped. I was like, why does he keep saying beans? What, is he hungry? What's going on here? And then you said, no, that's black-eyed peas. Like I had totally screwed something up. It's like, what? And I sat here just making a face like, no, you just said it again. So, and then it was, and it wasn't just me, because as soon as I said it, then all the chat room just went, oh yeah. So it wasn't just my hearing.
I'm not going to watch that right now, Pixie.
Watch what?
Creatures from the Black Lagoon. All right, go to Pixie's channel, check it out. I'll have to watch it later.
Yeah. So no, I mean, it was a funny episode. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're not familiar with what we're talking about, it was the Black-Eyed Children episode of a week ago tonight. Don was having a real struggle with the word beings.
That's what I said.
No, it's not. You said beans over and over. So it was pretty funny. And if you want to look,
oh, quit it.
If you want to look quick, it's at the hour and 2 minute mark is where it starts.
Yeah, and a shout out to Randy. Thanks. Not really. I take it back.
Randy put it out there for everybody. Hey, let Pixie know it's at an hour and 2 minutes.
Oh, great. I'm glad y'all get
I just want you to know,
laugh.
I've watched that episode about
apparently so is Vamp Lugosi.
5 times since then. And I've cracked up every time. It's just the funniest damn thing. I couldn't keep going. I just busted out. It was too funny.
Oh, jeez.
It was humorous. You know it was.
And I love each and every one of you.
And I still maintain it's hilarious because you got a full beard and we can still see you blushing. You could still see you blushing. It was funny though. All right, ladies and gentlemen, next story. I'd like to see other people make sense of what I saw, so I'm posting the story in a couple different places. The memory is kind of hazy, and honestly, this story is probably pretty corny. When I was 4 and living in the Philippines, I had this neighbor who was this sweet middle-aged woman that lived in the floor above us. The memories I have of her are that she gave me a dog, and it died immediately. And the next day, and later when I got a pet bird that I had to keep outside in a cage for landlord issues, her cat ate the next day, ate the bird the next day as well. Other than that, she was a pretty nice lady who would feed me and give me toys. One day my mom went to work, so she had to watch me for the afternoon, and I remember her bending down to pick something up, and I noticed 2 little red horns buried under her dark black hair. The one on her, what I want to say left side, was broken in half, and the other one was sharp to a point. My little 4-year-old self, thinking they were fake, just placed my hand on the point and tried to take them off so I could observe them a little closer. She swatted my hand away and immediately bolted straight up and told me not to touch them and to never do that again. The rest of the night pretty much went on without issue. This story is pretty anticlimactic, but I've just been dying to make sense of this day for 16 years. I looked up genetic deformities, people born with horns, but nothing has popped up to anything remotely similar to what I saw. I wish I could meet her again or find some way to get into contact with her, but the complex we lived in has been demolished, and I haven't been back in my home country since I was 5. For those of you who saw this on stories, so yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's a whole nother thing. You have to think of if it's real, if there really is this person that had horns for some reason. Is it just a genetic deformity? Is it possible they are some other race from somewhere else?
Right.
You know, is it a manifested spiritual being? I don't know. That's really curious. I don't know what to make of something like that. You have any thoughts, Don?
No. If you find horns on somebody, just run.
Just leave them alone.
Just don't
Don't pull the horns. Don't try to pull them.
You grab a bull by the horns, you get gored.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's the old classical idea is that anything evil has horns. Well, not necessarily. I mean, there's, unicorns weren't evil, right? So, know what I'm saying?
You never know.
Well,
only they were only nice to you if you were a virgin.
Well,
they were only, as far as I understand, unicorns are attracted only to virgins.
Okay. Well, that's, very classical literature, but, I don't know. But is it possible there's somebody with horns? Sure.
Yeah.
I swear to God, and this is a true story. This is a long, long memory of mine from when I was very young. And I'm saying like I was 5 or 6 years old young. And to this day, I don't know whether it was, real or not. But basically, we were visiting my cousins who lived in another town. And it was about an hour drive away from our hometown and home. And my brothers, I had 2 older brothers, each 1 year and then 2 years older than me at this time. And we went to this other town to visit my cousins. Well, they weren't home just yet, but the mom was, but none of the kid cousins were home. So we had nothing to do. So the mother of my cousins, my cousin or whatever, said to, hold on, my phone is ringing, said to go over and hit this playground. And I'll have to not talk right now. Sorry. My cousin just called me, but we went, there was another cousin, believe it or not.
I was just about to say, your
other side of the family.
Huh? That's knows you're talking
serendipity.
about.
But we went to this playground and there was 2 other kids playing there. And I remember them as they were dressed a little different from normal, but they both had this jet black hair and very fair skin. I was this little blonde kid, and my older brother that was with me was dark haired. And he, we just had different hair color as, same family, but we had different hair color. But these other 2 kids looked like cookie cutter kids. I mean, they looked like just perfect, like around the same age, if not twins. And they were playing, but they were kind of ignoring us, and we were trying to play with them, and we were trying to talk to them, and they just ignored us. And then finally, we were walking up to them to say something to them, and both of them turned and opened their mouths and hissed at us. And when they did, they had sharp teeth. They had like sharp teeth. And me and my little brother just pooped ourselves. We just ran screaming back to my cousin's house and tried to tell my mom, but whatever. And I can't tell you if it was they just both got Halloween teeth or what. I don't know. But I'm telling you, it freaked me out. And I hear a story like that of, somebody has horns, and it's like, when you're talking about a child memory, you don't have any basis to debunk. It's just you're seeing something you don't know how to explain, but you could be wrong in so many ways.
Well, but you go back and you say, okay, the way I believe, that, and pretty much everybody does, that the children are connected in a different way because they haven't been separated. It hasn't been separated from them. The imagination, the innocence is still there to still see that realm. So,
right. No, that's true. That's true. There is a clearer vision. But what I'm saying is, what if this kid had never seen hair curlers before, and so this woman
Medusa.
had curlers in and he's trying to pull them thinking, maybe he's only seeing the edge of it and his young eyes aren't able to discern, the rest of it's covered up by hair. I mean, there's so many things that it could be that it wouldn't necessarily have to be paranormal.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? I think it's important to at least try to debunk things as much as possible because, let me just message him. Do you got something to read, Don?
I can find something real quick.
Please
sure.
do. We'll go to Beard Vision. I just want to let him know why I didn't answer his call. I don't know if anything important is going on, but
here I got one for you. This one's called Black Eyed Beans. Seriously. There was a time when I was about 14. I was playing with my brother and sister, and we heard a knock at the door. I had a strange feeling, and I looked out my window. My big brother came out of his room and told us to get away from the door. We went to my mom, and we were told to be quiet. My big brother came back and said to my mom, "They want you." They pretty much asked if they could come in. There were 2 men dressed in black and white suits, almost like Men in Black with black sunglasses. They took off their glasses and they had black eyes, but it was as if they flickered. Then they walked away and got into their car. My mom had gotten into the car to follow them. She followed them to a Jehovah's Witness building. They made a left or right turn, and they vanished. From being spiritually aware, personally, I know we believe they were aliens, but we haven't seen or heard from them since. Wow. Okay. I know what Ken's about to say about the JWs and things like that. So, all right. So that was the black-eyed beans. Yes, I wonder what the, because I'm reading. I wonder what the, oh, there it was. Beans and black, even better. Great, thanks, Vamp. Go back to the sarcophagus. All right, so this next one's called Weirded Out. Oh, and by the way, that was from Australia. That last one I read. So yeah, maybe Ken can look into that for us. This one's called Weirded Out. Well, at first it seemed normal, but I don't think it was. I have a strong religious background, and it is how I'm being brought up. Well, the thing is, there's a certain thing that happened and I don't exactly know why. I'll start from an incident that has occurred. I was 5 when my grandma died, and I was really close to her. In my religion, we have 13 days burial and prayer period in which it's believed that the dead one's soul visits the earth. However, during that period, I refused to enter the bathroom or the bedroom without somebody with me. I remember seeing an outline of a person there, and it really freaked me out. I never went anywhere alone. During that period, I remember I couldn't enter any religious place without feeling extreme pain in my left shoulder, and I felt incredibly sick whenever I was near something religious. I would shake and sweat like mad. One night, my mother woke up screaming because she had said she had seen my grandmother talking to her. I knew something was happening because I was awake reading a book, and I remember feeling a strange presence nearby, and I didn't know what to do. I've never been able to enter jails, cemeteries, or burial grounds without feeling claustrophobic and actually feeling the sadness, pain, and the people or souls there of the, it says and, it should say of the people or souls there. I remember my parents taking me to visit a jail once, and I ended up in pain, swollen, and I fainted with the amount of negativity there. I remember feeling a little dizzy, and something pushed me out of the house as I went to enter it after the visits. On the third try, I could enter. I could feel the energy flow of people. And it really unnerves me because I sometimes see faces in the dark when I wake up at night. I don't know why, and I'm confused. Well, yeah, I see faces too, and it's usually my bathrobe hanging on the closet door. So a couple for you there. Let's see here. I knew many J-dubs that had demon experiences, poltergeist, levitation, etc. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. That wouldn't surprise me at all, Ken. I lost my page. So let's go back over here. Where did it go? Oh boy, now I'm losing more than my page. Go back here. Here we go. All right, so all is good. All right, something's there at night, but I don't know what. All right.
Jeez. Holy Christ.
You all right over there?
Really.
Oh, good God.
It's like a minefield.
I don't mind. All right, well, now I've missed that one. Okay, hold on. Hey, Brent's back. How you doing, Brent?
Good.
Nice.
Sorry.
My encounter with 2 black-eyed children. No, that was last week. Let's keep going. Repeating dreams. Can't make sense of it. Let's try this one. Oh, it's pretty freaking long. Oh, okay. No, we can go for it. Okay. Now, this one says, I'm a skeptic and used to be a rabid atheist. But I had this dream several years ago, and I've been having the same dream over and over again, each time more vivid than last, to the point that it's beginning to scare me a little. Laugh if you want, but here it goes. I'm completely naked, and I'm gripping the dirt in total dark black despair. I'm crying uncontrollably and howling wind and stinging rain in a totally black night in this dream. I could actually feel my emotions and even the rain and the wind. I'm at the edge of even blacker abyss with nowhere to run. There's thunder and lightning above. I use all my strength to look up, and I can see something form in the sky. Ever notice that clouds form shapes? Well, the cloud started to form into a skull, which is staring at me in the sky with utter malice and disgust. I then look at my hands, and they're starting to rot. The skull is starting to rush towards me and opens its mouth wide to devour me. And as I lay there thinking, please take me, I'm worth nothing and nothing can help me. I then, totally strange and I can't understand it at all, feel so happy that I could cry, that this kind of joy, that kind of joy that comes for no reason at all. I look behind myself. By this point, I'm almost completely rotten. And there is, okay, laugh now, a unicorn that is so devastatingly beautiful that it hurts to even picture it in my mind. It had a shimmering rainbow aura, and the strange part was that it was translucent, and every time its heart beat, it pulsed light. Many people depict unicorns as dinky white horses with horns. Never heard that one. This one was quite small, but it was way more beautiful and fantastically strange than it's normally drawn as. It was walking towards me, bracing itself against the wind and the rain. The skull shrieked at it, and fire and lightning comes from its mouth. But the unicorn keeps walking because its aura shields it from harm. I wonder if this is a flight of fancy. It now stands in front of me and raises its head, looking at the skull in its black eye holes. The unicorn lets out a strange...
You said eye holes, right?
Black hole eyes.
Black eye
That's
holes.
what it's... Oh, jeez. Here we go.
Johnny Dangerously, come on. You remember that movie, right?
Oh, don't be an ice hole.
Put your bells in a sling.
Jeez.
Come on. Classic.
Okay. The unicorn lets out, strange again, a powerful roar like a lion's that shakes the whole ground, but not that you could hear normally, almost telepathically. The skull rushes towards me with terrifying speed, but just before it can devour me, the unicorn raises its horn, which again was strange. It wasn't something exactly that someone could touch, but more like a swirling beacon of blinding light, and stabs the skull right in the mouth. The last thing I remember are hellish shrieks and blinding light because the skull is getting destroyed, and then I'm completely healed with the dawn sun rising in the sky, even as a rainbow begins streaking across the sky, with the unicorn gone, but feeling the same joy that let me know I was there. Or it was there, the unicorn. Okay, like I said, I'm a skeptic, but this dream has happened too many times for me to ignore it. There are other odd things happening more and more frequently. In fact, too many to even list. So there you go. Well, we were just talking about unicorns, weren't we?
Yeah.
So, interesting how that popped up.
It is. It's funny, isn't it?
You know, but I got to tell you, this story, supposedly real, sounded like a really bad version of a Patronus, the Death Eaters, and stupid unicorns. It sounded like a Harry Potter story.
Yeah, that's where
I was like, lost me.
You know, I mean, the thing is, though, is that J.K. Rowling did a good job of incorporating a whole lot of
Symbolism,
lore. You know, not just symbolism of the lore as well. And that's really cool because, I mean, those are all legendary things. There isn't a thing that was brought on in those movies that was flight of complete fancy. It was all drawn from legends and lore from all over.
Right.
All of the beasts, all the creatures, you know. I mean, it's just crazy. But very cool. So we are still burning the night away, ladies and gentlemen. It is 8:44, and we are rocking. We're going to go past 9.
8:44?
It is.
We've been streaming for almost 2 hours already?
Almost, but we did start late, remember. We started about 10 after.
I think we should cheat him at 10 minutes.
And we'll expect full price. Oh, yeah, it just goes quick, though.
It does.
It does go quick here in the portal, ladies and gentlemen. It is a time anomaly. And forgotten, I see that you've written 2 emails now. So again, I will be, if there's something that you want me to read tonight, then let me know which one of the 2. But I'd rather, we do have guests on Friday night. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, Friday night will be Sean and Joel,
Ian's Magic Oak.
Ian's Magic Oak, who is a regular here on the show and has called in and contributed quite a bit. He and his friend Joel will be on the show on Friday night, and we'll be walking through their paranormal journey and hearing their experiences and stuff. And it should be a fantastic show because I've had the pleasure of talking to both these gentlemen, and they are incredibly knowledgeable, incredibly passionate about the paranormal, so it'll be a good time. I'm really looking forward to that, and that'll be Friday night. But on Saturday night, I will read these emails unless there's something you absolutely want me to read tonight, but let me know. But yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be fun. And then what do we got? Let me just look at the schedule.
Yeah. Run down our guest schedule. Hey, can you switch us back to Brent and Don Vision?
You tired of Beard Vision?
Yeah.
I kind of like being
anonymous.
The
gray's driving me nuts.
The gray.
It's
gray.
It's gray. The bun is gray.
There, you need some color from my panel.
There you go. Yeah. Something to distract from my ears.
So tonight is, Friday night will be Sean and Joel. The next scheduled guest, we have the 21st, Dan Pruitt will be on the show.
That's
our
right.
Paranormal and guest investigator, official paranormal investigator for the Paranormal Portal. He's an incredibly knowledgeable and talented technician of all things paranormal, and just to listen to him talk was incredible. And it'll be great to have him on again, just because his first appearance was so riddled with problems. Yeah. And in fact, that was when we thought we were doing the double stream, and it turns out we were only broadcasting to YouTube for 90% of the show. Somehow we got dropped off of the main feed, and that went into a repeat, and so we missed half of probably 7/8 of our audience just from that. Yeah.
Good portion.
Yep. And so then on the 28th, we will be welcoming Mrs. Deborah Varner to the show, our Paranormal Portal official psychic, who will be doing call-in readings for people that call into the show. And that'll be, again, on the 28th. So 21st, Dan Pruitt, 28th, Deb Varner. On May 5th, Obake Hunter will be rejoining us again, and he'll be discussing Hawaii, and his first appearance was really cool. Had a really nice time and got a lot of great feedback about him being on the show, and a lot of people requesting him come back. So I'm always opening to having people, come back. It's wonderful. And then on the 26th of May, we are scheduled to have Brooks Agnew rejoin us on the portal as well. And if you haven't, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't checked out that stream, check out our YouTube archives and look at An Evening with Brooks Agnew, The Science of the Paranormal. The guy is just brilliant, and we've had just an amazing run of fantastic guests.
Yep.
And I feel so honored and thrilled that so many people have wanted to be a part of the show, and so thank you all for being a part of it as well. But those are some great shows coming up in the near future, and I'm sure we'll probably fill in a couple here and there as we get closer to those dates. But that's what I got for now, which for me is incredible because I don't plan much of anything in my life. It's just I just do the best I can, and so.
And maybe we should. It's funny because I told you that Dee was going to call in, didn't I? I told you exactly what she was going to say. Now she's going, oh, he's going to be there again? He's smart. Well, not quite yet, but I'm sure it's coming up.
Absolutely. No, it was great, and it was nice when you called in, Dee. Unfortunately, his connection was really kind of flaky, so it was hard to hear him during parts of the show, just because any noise coming into the stream would knock his down. And I'm not sure if it's a Skype setting or what it is, but just listen to that stream, ladies and gentlemen. It was just a phenomenal time.
It was. I'm still boggled.
Yeah, and I've listened to it about 3 times since then, and still gleaning so much new every time. So it's just going to be fun to tap back into him and hear what he's got going on, or what he can say about even more phenomena. But let me see what's going on now. Oh, okay, good. Everything's fine. My cousin's fine. He's just calling in. He must not have realized it was Wednesday night. Or he didn't know we do a show Wednesday night. So, but yeah, those are the shows coming up. But getting back to our paranormal journey for this evening, let's see what's left. Okay. This one I think I should probably read. Okay. Demons and evils that live among us. Okay. Please excuse my spelling if any is off. I'm going to be entering the text for this post pretty quickly, and I'm more concerned with sharing this post as quick as I can finish it. So recently, I had a friend tell me something that truly instilled fear in me. But I can tell it rocked his core. As someone that is a true believer in the paranormal and the existence of evil in our world today, and have also experienced multiple situations in my 29 years of life, I can usually tell what is garbage and what could possibly be something genuine. And I really think that what I was told was true. That's why I want to know if anyone else has had an experience like this or had met someone like this. Please share if so, because I really want to shed some light on what one of my good friends had told me about. He told me of a truly evil set of events that took place over the past few months and what he had experienced. I could feel the fear that he felt, and I almost wish I didn't hear it because it's hard to come to terms with the fact that this is actually a real thing happening, and it's happening right around where I live. Anyway, so what he told me was that just about a few months ago, he and his girlfriend broke up, which caused him to have to leave her place where he was living during the time, and that left him to go from couch surfing to even having to spend time on the streets, and that's where he met Peter. I believe he also didn't have a stable place to live, but yet always had somewhere to stay and would invite Brian, which is what I will call my friend. I don't want to use his name, to go with him. At first, Peter didn't seem out of the ordinary at all, but only he would often just randomly take off without saying anything and then randomly show back up sometimes a day or two later and would always have new expensive things to show off, like clothes, electronics, drugs, etc. And have a crazy story about something he did during his absence, and Brian said he wouldn't really entertain what he would say. He'd just kind of shrug it off like he didn't really care. I remember when he told me about all this, it took a while, and I don't want to drag this post out, so I'm going to get to the important things about it all that I think anyone that reads this should know. So over the next month, Brian would see Peter more often than normal, which would lead to them staying somewhere that Peter knew about, which, by the way, Brian said it was weird because he was always told they were going to a friend of his that didn't mind if they crashed, and every time they went somewhere, it was always them two, no friend or whatever, that Peter would always act as if they were invited, which I thought was odd when he told me. That was a hell of a run-on sentence, ladies and gentlemen. I know that Brian was super depressed around this time and would sometimes vent a little bit about it to Peter because he was the only person around. And it was all around then when Brian started noticing that something wasn't normal or right with Peter. Excuse me. And that was after kind of opening up about how he went happy about the way things were in his life or whatever, that Peter had tried to talk to Brian into killing himself. And he had tried to get him to do it in more than just one occasion. And on one of these times, he had shared that he had killed himself and that if Brian did, he can move on to his final form or final stage or something like that. I'm not sure what the exact wording he had used, but I know it sounded demonic. And Brian admitted to me it really made him feel off-put and would again play it off as he was screwing around with him, but it was starting to think and know that what he was being told wasn't a joke. And felt that maybe he should leave, and he said he was about to if Peter didn't randomly disappear first, leaving Brian at this random friend of his house, and he got his own things together and left too. It was probably a few days later and Brian had not seen Peter and felt relieved, I suppose. Only here in Oregon, it says in Oregon, Don, It's our neighboring state.
How do you say that again?
Oregon.
You said Oregon a second ago.
Oregon. Mm-hmm. It's the Oregon Trail.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Minnesotan. We say things all kinds of weird. But we still don't say beans.
Damn Washingtonians.
Oregon, where we live, the winter gets cold, and it wasn't until the day of this snowstorm we had in February when Peter once again randomly showed up where Brian was, acting like a normal dude, as if everything from a few nights ago had never happened, and it was already starting to snow, and it was sticking. And you cannot survive in that kind of weather on the streets. And once again, Peter said he had somewhere to go for them to go, and survive in that kind of weather. I'm sorry. It's all one big block of text, so I'm running back into the same lines every once in a while. Told Peter he had somewhere to go, and Brian felt his hands were tied and said, yeah, screw it, let's go then. They were walking for like 2 hours and finally arrived at this random church where this fence was that they had to squeeze through. And I remember Brian saying, as soon as they got through the fence, he started getting overwhelmed with different emotions. Sadness, guilt, and mainly fear, like a fear he would feel that would normally make anyone turn that right around and not look back. But beyond those feelings, he said he felt he was being drawn towards the direction of what appeared to be this large, white, old house. And he finally tells Peter that he doesn't feel right and wants to know where they are. And Peter looks at him and responds, "This is where the evil is born." And keeps walking. And that's when Brian notices this large metal object. And once getting a little closer, he realizes it's a large metal storage container like the ones they haul on trains, only it's been altered. On one side where it should have been closed, there had been bars vertically welded there instead, and he finally realizes its purpose and that it has been made into a human cage. And there is chunks of what he was assumed to be female's hair stuck between the bars on numerous spots, and dried blood, broken glass all over the flooring, and there was pretty sure scratches were fingernails. And then he saw these metal poles that were like sharpened, leaning up against it, because they're obviously used to poke through the bars and torture whoever would have been in there by stabbing at them. And that's when Brian said he turns around and says, "Screw this," and starts running, probably faster than he ever has in his life. And as he is almost to the fence, he looks back, and Power is right on his tail, chasing him, but catching up at a rather fast pace. And that's when Brian started praying to God, and he looked back, and he was no longer behind him. And here's one parry that tripped me out when I heard it. Apparently where Brian was at the moment while still running towards the fence, there is these bushes that stand around 8 feet tall on both sides of him that kind of trail the rest of the way and end at the fence, and he notices a shadow above him, and Peter is on top of the 8-foot tall bush in kind of a squatting position. And I know what kind of bushes these are. These are everywhere in Oregon, and you simply cannot stand, squat, or do anything on top of this type of bush. You would fall right through. It's just not possible, and Peter leaped from it in a way that is not humanly possible, and was now in front of Brian, between him and the exit in the fence, and without hesitation, he shoved himself through the opening and kept running through the parking lot of the church till he made it to the street. And this time, when he looked back, Peter wasn't there. He didn't chase him past the fence, and it was almost like he let him run through and didn't even make an attempt to stop him, as it seemed like he would have done, considering how determined he was with chasing him and doing some inhumane things as well. And Brian said he's pretty sure it was because he prayed in the name of Jesus Christ and his protection, and I believe that that's what got him through it as well, because we both believe he was brought there for a reason, and it was not to be able to leave that property. That he explained as pure evil, and knows what is inside that house and what goes down in there. It's not over, though. There is something else that really bothered me about Brian's story, and I want to make sure what to think when he told me, but it made me not only scared but worried as well. So once he made it to the main street, there is a Shell gas station. There is a police car parked in the lot, and he's standing outside his car. So he runs to it. And unfortunately, Brian had a warrant for his arrest and would normally never approach a cop, but he is so scared of what he just went through that he turns up to him and starts out by saying he needs to report something and gives his name and also shares the fact that he has a warrant for his arrest and that he can go ahead and take him to jail, but that he only wants to tell him everything he just experienced and take the cop there to arrest that clown. And the cop agreed to take a look, but put Brian in cuffs first and in the back of his car as expected. He then tells him where the house is and to take a right out of the gas station, only the cop goes right and tells him to shut up and takes him to the Justice Center downtown. And at that point, he felt hopeless. Now, upon arriving to the JC, I'm not sure, JC?
Juvenile Corrections?
Yeah, I thought he was over 18, but maybe not, huh? Once he goes inside to booking, where they take your inventory and shoelaces and things, he's them in the presence of 5 sheriffs and feels that maybe if he tells one of them that maybe some progress can be made, but he swore on everything holy that once he mentioned the address of the house in the human cage, one of the sheriffs screams at him to shut his mouth and violently grabs him by the balls, which drops him to his knees, and another officer slams him to the chest, and they pick him up and put him in one of the isolation cells meant for drunks or people that pee or poop themselves. That's not the words they're using, but that's the ones I'm using. And at first he didn't know what to think, and then realized that obviously this place does contain a serious evil, that the law enforcement even knows about it and has been instructed to leave it alone or keep it secret, and that they know what goes on there and have no power over it. And when someone comes up and starts saying what they know, that something needs to be done, then they do some awful things like that. God, it's still going on and on and on. I mean, why else would they not say one thing about it and then inflict violence on him and literally isolate him for the next 24 hours till he gets released? When he got released, his parents picked him up and he told them everything that happened, and they drove by it so he can show them where it's at. And his parents are very religious, and they too want to tell someone about what their son had gone through, only they admit that they don't know who to tell, and if they did, if anything would get done about it. So for the next week, Brian just stayed at his parents' and tried to relieve some of the trauma he went through. Eventually, he did go into town and saw one of his friends from a poor local area and said to him, "Dude, if you see Peter around, you need to stay away from him. That fool isn't right, and he's the devil or something. Peter turned into a demon right in front of me, and I put this on everything. That dude is evil. Stay away from him." And Brian said when he was told that the dude was in a panic, and can hear the fear in his voice, just like I can hear it and feel the fear in his voice as he told me all of this. I haven't talked to him in like a week because I want nothing to do with that stuff, but he did say he drove his dad's Jeep near it so he can use binoculars and see if he can see anything that goes on there. And he was looking through one of the side windows of the house and can't really see anything because there's no lights on or anything. And while he was looking, this pale, almost animal-looking demon manifested itself in the window, and it was looking right at him like it knew he was watching. And obviously it did. So, creepy story. So, do I believe that's possible? Sure, I do. I think that there's all kinds of twisted, demented, evil things that can go on. And I believe there is... I honestly do believe in magical things. I really do. I believe that there are things going on that we can't explain, obviously, because of the paranormal portal. But I believe that there is, powers of good that can do amazingly miraculous things. And I think that there are powers of evil that can do horrible, evil things. And so I believe, I've heard stories. You ever hear stories about like the dark web, Don?
Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, I was listening to some just yesterday.
There you go.
And they're talking about red rooms.
Yeah, and the amount of depravity, and the fact that this stuff goes on, and pretty much seems above the law. I mean, I can't imagine any of this stuff going on and not having some swarm of people descend and just take everybody down.
Right.
But I don't know. There's just corners of this world where lots of darkness exists, and it's apparently seems to hold dominion over it, even more so than the light in those areas. But that's by people acquiescing to that and allowing that. If people didn't, bend down and turn a blind eye, then I think all of it could be done, or at least a large percentage of it. But
oh yeah, well, you got to think, what are these? Where do these stories come from that these people write? Like Thomas Harris, he wrote the Hannibal Lecter books. The Hostel movies. Where do these movies with these criminals and these psychopaths and these ideas where you could be, and the Taken movies too, with Liam, what's his frickin' name?
Liam Neeson?
Yeah, that would be him. People have to be twisted to write these stories to begin with. So if people can just imagine that level, I'm sure that other people can go farther.
Well, yeah, and unfortunately, a lot of that stuff has some truth somewhere. Okay, so like Hannibal Lecter, he's based on Jeffrey Dahmer and Ed Gein. The Wild Bill character was based on Ed Gein, and I think the Hannibal Lecter character was loosely based on Jeffrey Dahmer. So I mean, those are very real examples of that depravity existing,
right,
as we know it does. And if you don't know who Ed Gein is, you probably don't want to know.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that you can't unhear it. You can't unhear that somebody existed like that. So best to be, there's that saying, ignorance is bliss, right?
Right. No, well, no, not really, because it could end up in your eventual end.
Yeah, well, that's true. And again, I know that a lot of this stuff, it's horrible to think that it goes on. But I think that as people wake up and as we resonate and as we raise consciousness and as people come out of the fog of the world, then things will get better. And I think they are getting better. I mean, it's such an emotionally charged time right now, though, and it's driving me crazy, honestly. Right. I mean, just think about it. It's like today I was sitting there just watching and waiting because this determination was coming about whether or not we were going to shoot missiles into Syria. It's like, oh my God, how can this be happening? How can this be, I would just hope that someday we grow past this, that we don't need to lob missiles at each other, and we don't need to, create wars over oil and over things like that, we can just care about people. And if you think about oil, it's this primordial sludge.
It's the grease of the earth.
And yeah, it's grease of the earth, and it's an antiquated technology at best.
Yep.
I mean, there are so many better things that could be used. And no offense to anybody in the oil industry. I mean, God bless you for doing your job and, getting by and making ends meet. It's not that I'm, condemning the people that are doing the jobs that they need to do, but it's just, we have the ability to do so much better. Mm-hmm. And we don't need the antiquated technologies. We need to embrace something better. And maybe then we won't have to fight over oil or patches of sand in some, distant country. So I don't know. But what do you do, right?
Oh, yeah.
I don't pretend we're going to solve the world's problems here on the portal, but I still reserve the right to speak about them every once in a while. I still reserve the right to whine every once in a while. And then I saw this, and it made me sad.
You think it was a Death Eater in the sky?
Yeah, exactly. It was what were those damn things in Harry Potter that sucked happiness? Dementors.
Dementors, yeah.
Dementors. Yeah, the Dementors. So I guess those are. I don't know if the name Dementor is an actual thing, but they would be kind of a shade of some kind, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get this one. Let's check out this next one, ladies and gentlemen, and we're already after 9 o'clock.
Wow.
Can you believe it, Don?
I might be turning into a pumpkin sometime soon.
That's all right. You'd make a hell of a lantern.
You're going to carve out what's left of my head what you're saying.
I'll just poke holes in your chest and put a candle in there.
I just poke my eyes out and call me a black-eyed bean.
You know, there's a rule in comedy, Don. Joke's only funny once. I'm just kidding.
Uh-huh.
All right, so next, I am a student at Lake Forest College, which is a small liberal arts school located in the suburbs of North Chicago, in a town called Lake Forest. From the first year I attended this school, I became almost immediately aware of the so-called hauntings that take place on campus and throughout the area. But I am not here to share the rumors of a little girl disrupting the residents of the dormitory halls called Blackstone or Harrion, or the rumor that the dormitory known as Lois was once a hospital. Oh, okay. Nor am I here to describe the many paranormal incidences that circulate the mansion known as the Schweppes Mansion, which is located in the East Lake Forest. I want to describe an encounter I had while I was at the Lake Forest Beach, which is about 15 or so minute walk from the north side of campus. Lake Forest Beach provides a beautiful place to enjoy Lake Michigan. My intention with sharing my story isn't to scare anybody. I simply want to understand what happened and if anyone else who has experienced a similar encounter. When the weather is warm enough, my friends and I always go to the beach to swim in Lake Michigan or have a picnic on the rocks. Even when the lake is frozen, we'll grab a hot coffee and explore the frozen ice structures and blanketed white beaches. But despite the season, my friends and I will occasionally visit the beach at night. A few weeks ago, I felt overcome with an urge to get out of the car and explore the shores of Lake Michigan, which was especially unusual since I was alone. I slowly opened the car door and stepped out into the cool air. I began walking to the left, which is the more wooded side of the beach. This was also unusual since it was more common to follow the path towards the playgrounds and towards the rocks. I remember that I was curious why I didn't explore this part of the beach more often. I kept walking along the shore until I found a spot to sit down. I closed my eyes to take in the soothing sounds of the waves washing carefully back and forth from the shore, and that's when I began to hear it. A soft whistling that was being carried by the wind. I didn't think much of it until I realized that there was a rhythm to it. It was a song. And that's when I turned around to try and see where the sound was coming from and who was making it. I began to call out for whoever it was to step forward and show themselves, but as soon as I said anything, the sound came to an abrupt stop. Once it stopped, everything around me went silent, and I felt an unfamiliar chill run through my body. So that was my cue to leave and leave as fast as my feet could carry me. I haven't been back to the beach since. Wow. I left something open, didn't I?
Yep.
That's Facebook for you. I'm going to close Facebook quickly. Yikes. Okay, now I got to find my page again. That is loud. Once it stopped, everything around me went silent, and I felt an unfamiliar chill run through my body. So that was my cue to leave, and to leave as fast as my feet could carry me, and I haven't been back to the beach since. Although I have no concrete proof that my experience was something paranormal, I can't disregard the fact that the parking lot was completely empty when I arrived at the beach and when I returned. I can't disregard that. Okay, also the wooded area that was behind me when I sat on the beach was extremely dense and with foliage, so it would be impossible for me not to hear movement before and after the whistling stopped. I genuinely believe that I was completely alone. The whistling could have been from the wind, but there was a definitive rhythm, so I decided to do some research on the area and on Lake Michigan. As I mentioned earlier, there are countless rumors of different areas of Lake Forest being supposedly haunted, along with countless tales of hauntings that has to do with Lake Michigan and surrounding areas. I can't help but have a feeling that my experience may have tied to one of these stories. Excuse me, sorry. Has anyone else experienced something similar in the Lake Forest, Illinois area? No, but we just read a story a bit ago about whistling and mesmerizing whistling, although this person wasn't frozen, nor compelled to run to the figure that appeared. But this didn't have a figure that appeared, so I don't know. Whistling in the wind, ominous presence, sure. It's somebody wandering the shores in some state, calling all haunt heads. All right. Oh, this is somebody advertising for stories.
Oh.
Trolling.
Trolling.
Yeah,
Keep them uglies rolling.
Absolutely. Keep the creepies rolling. Paranormal. That was so lame. I'm sorry. I wish I could unsing that.
Me too.
Yeah, I know. Get what you pay for, ladies and gentlemen, and so far this is free. So there'll be no refunds. Yeah, this one isn't too bad. Again, I wonder what this is with these blocks of text. Does nobody know what a paragraph is?
Even if it was just done in a technical style, that would be better.
Yeah, bullet points. Give me something to work with here. It's just one big block. All right, let me blow it up a little bit. My eyes are getting worn. I've had so many things in my almost 40 years of life happen that often have led me to think I'm crazy or maybe even alone in my experiences. I'm not sure that once something paranormal happens to you, you're almost drawn or it draws to you. That's a good point. Huh. Is a paranormal event a catalyst for more paranormal? That's to experience. You know what I mean? That's a good question. Know what I mean, Don?
Yep, I sure do.
Are you with me? Don't leave me yet, Don. I just know that most of my life I felt very much alone in my experiences until lately. I saw something. I know this is a place for fun paranormal stories, but I certainly assure you that all of my experiences, good and bad, are true events. I'm sharing them now because I feel like maybe there are others who've experienced a life of overwhelmingly strange events or things they can't explain. So I suppose I'll start with my childhood. I grew up in the Midwest, a somewhat normal kid in the 80s who loved the outdoors, sports, and music. I noticed something when I was very young about myself. When night came to my house, I almost felt like a different kid, scared, unsure, almost frightened of what the night would bring. My earliest memory is that of two tan-skinned girls in what I can only think was buckskin and Native American clothing who frequented my closet at night. Wow. They spoke in a language I had never heard. They were nevertheless little girls who enjoyed playing with my babies I kept in a small suitcase in my closet. I was terrified, to say the least, not because they were mean or scary looking, but the fact that they didn't belong there at all. I thought even then, at 7, I was crazy. I thought that I was crazy, and what I had witnessed wasn't real. Now that I'm older, I realized I saw spirits, good and bad, growing up, and no matter how I tried to hide that, it was still there. The Native American girls were the least of my worries. The older I became, eventually, I stopped experiencing their presence. I wish I hadn't experienced some of the others in my house, though. Their talking at night was so loud, I was awoken many nights and would actually sneak into my parents' room, embarrassed about this, but until I actually moved out at 18. Afraid of why they spoke to me. I told my mother one time that I heard spirits talk to me, which led her to tell me that I was probably picking up radio waves through my bed springs.
Okay.
Tuning in the radio on your bed springs. Boy, what a sucker I was. As a mother myself now, I know she was trying to make me feel not frightened of this curse that seemed to follow me. Anyways, I experienced a truly frightening and fear-locking event when I was 12. I would be visited by a spirit that would spin above me on my ceiling. Ugh, talks about creepy. The image to this day of a woman with dark hair and expressed joy in terrifying me is still seared in my memory. She always smiled as if it was fun to make me pull my covers over my face and pray until she was gone. Even to this day, I think I try to suppress some of her visuals that were chilling now as an adult to think I survived her haunting. There was also an old man with a white and beige shirt, beige pants, and nice shoes that would walk up and down the hallway, kind of stuck in time. No apparent reason or rhyme to what he did, just walked unaware of me or anything. I'm just going to post this for now, and I hope to hear from all of you about your experiences. Yeah, it sounds like she's a psychic. She's just gifted. And that's the tough part, that, you know, people that are born into these gifts, they have no way to know how to handle it. And usually people in the families, if they're not also gifted, are not any help. They want to try to normalize the situation. Oh, it's just nothing. Oh, it's just this. It's just that, you know. Mm-hmm. And they squash it. You know, they squash these gifts. So I think that person is just extraordinarily sensitive. And I don't know if they just ceased having experiences after their childhood or what. Huh. But very strange.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
You all right?
Yep. All good.
All good?
All good.
We're at about 9:20. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm thinking pie's coming along. Pumpkin pie.
Is your carriage going to turn into a pumpkin?
Yeah, maybe.
All right, Cinderfella.
Cinderfella Dana Dane. It's a song by Dana Dane. Never mind. Back in the day.
Back in the day. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are certainly thrilled you've been here with us going through the evening and sharing in our paranormal journey and in our fun and in our lives, in this moment of our lives. Thank you for being a part of it. Again, some great shows coming up, so definitely continue to tune in. If you're new to the Paranormal Portal, we do just broadcast Wednesdays on YouTube, but Friday and Saturday nights we're simulcasting on YouTube as well as iHeart, TuneIn, TalkStream, and TFR Live. So on those nights, the call-in number works, and we love people to call in and be a part of the show as well. So we will be looking for you. I hope you guys come back for Friday's show. And again, Sean and Joel will be joining us here on the Paranormal Portal, and we will get into their journey through the paranormal realm and see where they've been and what they found. But I love you all. Be kind to each other. Be nice to each other. Help each other out. And what do you got to say, Don?
Hit the like button. Subscribe.
Oh, yeah. Hit
and
the
ring
like
that
button.
Bell.
Yeah, hit the like button, please.
Gosh,
if you haven't subscribed, of course.
Yeah.
And, if you ring the bell, you'll know every time we're going to do anything because it'll ding at you.
Yep.
And we are continuing to evolve and shift and change the portal, and hopefully we're making it bigger and better and greater than it has been. So thank you all for being a part of it and helping us continue and giving us motivation. And thank you for all your support and encouragement. You guys are absolutely wonderful.
And remember, Paranormal Portal Radio gmail.com.
Yep.
And paranormalportalradio.com to get your hats and hoodies and shirts.
That's right. It definitely does help out. The one thing about this show is that it's a labor of love for Don and I, and we do it because we love doing it, and we'll continue to do it for as long as they let us. But it certainly isn't cheap, and it isn't easy. So anything you guys can do to help our journey and help support the portal will certainly be appreciated. But at the very least, just spread the word. If you're in a paranormal group and you enjoyed listening to us, let people know. Tell them where to find us. And again, we're on Facebook as well. So facebook.com/Paranormal Portal Radio. We're on WeMe.
Yep.
Don, what's your WeMe? It's Don Longbeard 9 or something like that?
Don Longbeard. No, that's my Facebook. It's like Don Longbeard.1 or something like that.
Okay.
Just look for me. It's the same picture you always see.
Yeah, and Don's much more established on WeMe than I am. He belongs to a whole bunch of groups. I haven't quite done a whole lot over there, but I'm also over there, Brent Thomas, so find me if you want.
Oh, look, I have a new contact.
Oh, fantastic.
Fantastic.
So, again, love you all. Be good, be kind, and we will be back on Friday night with Sean and Joel for more of this paranormal journey.
All righty.
All right, guys.
Have a good one.
Take care, and we'll see you next time.
Night-night.